Today we are having a look at the AMOLED 2X. This is an obvious S22 Ultra Wannabe just by the looks of the back of the phone, and if you go into the settings, the name of the phone is the S22 Ultra. So it looks like the S22 Ultra, but does it perform like the S22 Ultra? So let's start off with the screen, as that was one of the most disappointing aspects of the phone. Now if we have a look at the box here, the phone displayed on the box obviously has bigger bezels than the S22. However, they are not near as big as they are on the actual phone that you receive. The bezels on this thing are huge, probably the biggest bezels I have seen on a phone ever. Now the screen itself is awful. You can actually see the pixels when using applications and such. I don't think I have ever used a phone where just casually using it, you can see the pixels, not even like looking for them. I mean, it's most prominent on the home screen with the apps. Like the edges of the apps aren't smooth. You can literally see the pixels of the edge of the apps just by casually using the phone. Like you don't have to look for it, it's just there, it's just that visible. So the screen does not live up to its AMOLED name. Okay, the cameras. The whole reason I bought this phone was because it advertised having 4 cameras on the back of the phone. So I was intrigued to see whether there was actually going to be 4 cameras on the back of the phone, or if they just faked them all and only one of them is actually a real camera. And I'm sad to say they went with the latter. So hey, maybe instead of putting 4 rubbish cameras on the back, they put 1 decent one. And no, no, they did not. The cameras on this phone are probably the worst cameras I have ever seen in my life. I have never experienced using a camera that dishes out such low quality images, to the point where if the lighting isn't like really good, you can't even see what you're taking a photo of. It is that bad. It's so bad that I wouldn't even want to capture memories on this thing. Like if it was take a photo with this or don't take a photo, I just wouldn't take a photo. I just remember it, because the photo because any photo taken on this isn't a good memory. It's a bad memory. The front-facing camera is no better. It is equally as bad, if not slightly worse. So the screen sucks. The cameras are awful. What about the software on this thing? Is the software and specs a redeeming quality? Well, no. No, they are not. So I was unable to find out what version of Android this is running on, as it didn't say in the settings, and I couldn't be bothered digging too deep into finding out which version it is, because I could not be bothered. All I can say is it's not a great version of Android. It's very minimal. There isn't much here. The pull down menu doesn't really have much there. Definitely old, definitely very old, I'd imagine. One compliment I do have to say about the operating system and about the operating system on this phone is it's not laggy. I was quite surprised how it's not laggy. As you saw earlier, the taking photos and rendering the image is laggy as anything, like horrendously bad. But it seems to load the homepage. It seems to load your apps and the homepage pretty easily, without too much of a jutter. You can flick through rather smoothly, but the second you open any apps, it's quite the opposite. So usually when it comes to testing the abilities of a phone, like specs, how much RAM it has, yada yada yada, I download and play Angry Birds. That's how I kind of test phones. That's how I kind of test cheap budget phones. If they can't run Angry Birds, then the specs ain't great. But I was rather disappointed to find that this phone doesn't even have the Play Store. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, this almost £60 phone is unable to download apps from the App Store. What you get is what you get. It comes with Facebook, WhatsApp, and YouTube, and a bunch of other trash apps, calendar and calculator, and all that other garbage. So that was pretty disappointing. So the only reason I could think anyone would ever want to buy one of these is if they wanted to fool people into thinking they have the S22 Ultra. However, very few people would be fooled into thinking this was the S22 Ultra. The charging port is on the top, which is different. It has a headphone jack on the top, which is different. The front of the phone looks absolutely nothing like the S22 Ultra. So you may be able to fool your aunt or uncle that this is a S22 Ultra, but other than that, I see no point to this phone. There is better budget phones out there for slightly less that do a lot more. This honestly feels like a Chinese company made a bunch of really rubbish cheap phones a couple of years ago that didn't sell well, and they've simply reskinned them. It would make sense why the screen is so small and the bezels on the top and bottom are so big, because it's just a smaller phone put on there. It's just a smaller phone inside with bigger bezels and a changed back to make it more appealing. So people think they're getting a budget S22 lookalike, but actually they're getting a trash Chinese phone from 2015. So yeah, I don't recommend buying this, but the link is in the description as always if you want to go and get one anyways. So yeah, that's it from me. See ya.